What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports NBA Hardwood Show. I am your host, Mangone. I'm here with AP. I'm here with Hoop, the usual Thursday crew, and I gotta go to Hoop first because I saw we've extended a deadline, Hoop. I thought we were just absolutely being really strict here. I need to figure out what's going on here, and you got to tell the people a little bit about this because I am very confused. This is the first thing I saw today, and I was like, "What is going on? What is Hoop doing?"
Gosh, I mean, I'm already backstepping, and I said Thursday morning it was gone. I talked to the guys over at SaberSim, and they said, "Hey, let the people have up until NFL lock tonight to take advantage of the SaberSim Run Pure deal," and that's kind of what we're going with. So tonight at 8:20 Eastern, the deal is going away. Today is, I mean, you basically have 3.5 hours to take advantage of a deal that's really unbeatable in the industry. All the Run Pure Sports content, which includes every single sport. We don't charge you once new sports start. So everything on our website combined with the SaberSim optimizer. If you use that promo code SABER15, you're looking at about $127 per month. If you were to buy those two separately, it would be like $170, $180. So it is a deal of a lifetime. You're not going to be able to beat it. And you have 3.5 hours to take advantage of it. And like you said, Hoop got pushed back a little bit. I said, it's going away Thursday morning. CEO of SaberSim said, "Hey, run it up until NFL locks tonight. Give the people a little more time to take advantage of it." So 3.5 hours, great deal. Tough to pass up on, honestly.
Yeah, we got Mike in the chat. Said he upgraded his subscription, so he is pumped about that. Also, Hoop, how's the Renfro jersey coming along? You haven't hit me up to make a move for you, so it sounds like you got some people maybe getting the Renfro jersey for you.
I got a few guys. I might end up with like 3 or 4 of these things by the time it's all said and done, because a lot of people say they're coming through for Hoopster. I've delivered some shipping labels, and it's Thursday afternoon, and I'm still sitting here without a Renfro jersey. So it is going to happen at some point. I mean, I know shipping's slow this time of year, hard to get a hold of goods and whatnot, but man, I'm hopeful by Sunday I got this Renfro jersey. Yeah, I was hopeful that I'd have it earlier in the week. We're pushing it back a little bit, just like the Saber promo. We're pushing it back a little bit, and I'm hopeful by Sunday I can be wearing my Renfro jersey.
Yeah, I'm excited. The next time I see you guys, I want to see you both in the Renfro jerseys. I want you in a Renfro jersey. I want BigT. Maybe you can give one away, and maybe BigT will sign it because everyone loves getting stuff from BigT. So who knows? AP, we'll go over to you, and we got a Chiefs slate tonight, right? So you obviously are probably pumped for that game. You're probably getting prepped. I'm sure you got a nice spread ready for the night, a nice little whiskey on tap. So are you pumped for this game tonight against the Chargers? And do you got money against Bobby Gomes here? Because it's the classic Chargers and Chiefs. You get Mahomes against Herbert for the rest of the time.
Yeah, I mean, first off, I just think it's funny that they can't find this jersey. Like K. Fallick was in chat. He went to 2 stores, in Vegas, went to 2 stores, still could not find the jersey. I just think it's kind of hilarious. But yeah, we got a good game tonight. I think me and Bobby, our action is on. Just a friendly wager. Anytime Mahomes plays Herbert or Allen, we got action going. So they get it going tonight. Hopefully, I mean, Bobby, he has a sweat. The Bills might not even make the playoffs. So I'm hoping we get one more matchup between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes this season, but we might not. I mean, his Josh Allen hasn't been looking so good.
The Bills honestly, the Bills are not a good team. Like they beat the Chiefs early on. If you look at the rest of their wins, it's like the Jets and the loss to the Jaguars. Like the Bills suck. I feel pretty good saying that.
I felt good about that for a while. When we first kind of got into the Mahomes argument and everything, I looked at the schedule and I was like, the Bills haven't beat anyone. So I want to wait till they beat someone to really just get, excited about this team. And they really haven't.
I like how everyone gave up on the Chiefs. And I will say their defense takes a massive hit tonight. They got the mojo flowing though. Let's see if other guys can step up. But really, what needs to happen tonight is Mahomes needs to – no, not even Mahomes. His guys need to catch balls. I'm not even putting it on Mahomes. He's been throwing good balls despite what anyone says, it's all the drops are just ridiculous. So it's going to be a fun game tonight. Hopefully
no one wants to talk about that, AP. I'm perfectly fine with people saying, yes, part of the problem was Mahomes was making some mistakes. There's little things he could have done, but there was a lot of drop balls. A lot of those interceptions are drop balls, which I wish we could change that stat and put it on the receivers at times. I mean, obviously it's not easy to figure out like whose fault it is every single time, but sometimes it's clearly the receiver's fault on it. But we got someone in chat who they're asking, how do you add the RPS projections I'm using with SaberSim already? I assume you have to be signed up. And here's the other thing, Hoop, you got to get in the Discord chat. So you're in a Discord chat. Tell the people a little bit about like having some of the SaberSim guys in our Discord to be able to help with these questions and these issues.
Yeah, it's going to be better to end up, if you're an RPS subscriber, it's going to be better to get the SaberSim on our end because the projections are automatically uploaded into the SaberSim optimizer on our website. So if you're a member of both, it's going to be better to end up getting it on our end because all our stuff's going to be imported right in there. And as we've talked about in the past, you're going to see a lot of our content start to show up on the optimizer as we work hand in hand with their team. So it's definitely going to be the way to do it. And what was the other question you had said? You had proposed another question, I believe.
I think it was mainly just like the Discord, right? You got to get in
there. The Discord. I knew there was another point that I want to bring up. We have their team in our Discord answering questions. It seems around the clock. I mean, anytime someone pops in there with a question, it seems like within 10 to 15 minutes, they have an answer. They're fixing little bugs, which honestly, there has not been many issues at all. When you do a big move like this, you definitely anticipate that there's going to be some issues. This has been like one of the smoothest transitions I think that I've been a part of since we started at Run Pure Sports, just very seamless. But yeah, their team is right in our Discord answering questions from our members all throughout the day. I mean, just an amazing perk of, this partnership that we launched last week.
Yeah, it seems like it's pretty active in there. I've just like popped in to check out how the activity is going. It seems like it's going pretty good. And if you do have an issue, right, like, if you sign up now, like play around with the builder now. Don't play around with it at 6:45 for the first time. And then you have a bug happening and you're trying to figure it out. There's a lot going on around that time. So try and dive in now and check it out. We want to mention this. We do not have the final countdown show tonight. So we are the guys. We'll also be in the Discord chat, but you got us and we'll be breaking down this slate. Got a nice little 4-game slate, which AP, give a little overview. I'm sure you've dove into this one a little bit. Nice little 4-gamer. We probably got tons of more news to come that you can't even expect. Out of nowhere last week on Tuesday, when we had the Nets on the slate, we expected James Harden to play and then he didn't, right? So things can change at any time, but what have you seen so far, AP, with this slate? Give me a quick overview.
Yeah, 4 games, 4 different lock times. I kind of like that. Allows you to make a bunch of different decisions and plan your night out a little bit easier. We got most of the news in already, which is really nice. We're still waiting on Christian Wood, and I believe that's the only piece of news that we're waiting on. So, and Wood, honestly, I don't even think he was supposed to play in this game, but then he popped up as questionable. So that would be a surprise change. But and we also were waiting on Torrey Craig, but we don't really care about that dude. Doesn't really impact the slate at all. So unless something crazy happens, we got most of the news, which is kind of surprising. And looks like a fun slate. The Nets are going to have 9 guys tonight because Langston Galloway, he signed and he's available on FanDuel, but not DraftKings. And then the Knicks are going to have a tight rotation. Rockets should have a tight rotation. Wizards are down a bunch of dudes, and Philly is down a few dudes. So fun slate tonight.
Yep, fun slate. We also got some other issues in the YouTube chat. Someone said that he's locked out of the Discord. Ricky said he's locked out of the Discord and can't figure it out. So DM me or the captain. Obviously, if you DM me now, I probably won't get to it right away on a show, but I'll do my best to help you out. And if you are, one of the issues I noticed, I can help most situations. The one issue I can't help that someone had recently, so hopefully it's not you, Ricky, is if you made like 3 different accounts and your RPS name is in one of your Discord accounts, but I don't know which one, you might be logged on the wrong one. There's different number IDs. And no, Ricky, you got to DM me on Discord. You can try and DM me on Twitter, but I'll tell you this, I probably won't get till after lock if that's the case. So it's because I need to talk to someone who's in Discord. It's easier to match things up and figure it all out, but DM me on Twitter and I'll do my best to help you out when I get the chance. But yeah, it's definitely a great thing to be into. Obviously, people are saying there's always people bouncing ideas off each other. It's a great spot to be. News whenever it flies in, you can get notified about that. So it's definitely a great place to be. Hoop, let's dive in though. Let's talk about this first game that we have here on the slate. And we're going to you because it's the Detroit Pistons. It's the Indiana Pacers, and you are our Pistons guy here over here at Run Pure. You got Stewart, Bay, Diallo, Cunningham, Hayes, a cast of characters that you can roster tonight against the Pacers. And listen, I'm not a Pacers guy. Like they're like the Blazers of the East is like what I like to call them. They always find ways to lose games, but they're 10 point favorites here, right? Like I know it's the Pistons, but I don't know. I might even grab the 10 here tonight with the Pistons Hoop. It doesn't seem like a bad spot to do it because this Pacers team is absolutely terrible. What are you doing with this game though? Because it might not be the greatest game on this slate, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's probably the least appealing from a fantasy perspective. I mean, the Pistons are just a tough team for DFS purposes. A team that's not really interested in winning basketball games. A lot of different guys that get random playing time. Cade Cunningham is now fully priced or priced where he should be. And just a lot of inconsistency in terms of fantasy production. Then you have the Pacers on the other side who just, very disappointing season, but they have a lot of guys for fantasy purposes, a lot of guys that need the ball. It just makes it hard. Brogdon, LeVert, Sabonis, Turner, just too many cooks in the kitchen. You had Duarte in there who's going to be chucking. So out of all the games, this is definitely the least appealing. Now, it's only a 4-game slate, so we're going to have to probably consider some of these guys. Isaiah Stewart, I think, is somewhat interesting on the Pistons side, probably the guy that I'm most likely to play. Sadiq Bey, his production has been all over the map, but you're probably going to get somewhere between 25 and 30 fantasy points, but he's been right around or under 20 fantasy points in 3 straight games. I meant minutes. Like he's going to probably play between 25 and 30 minutes, but the production hasn't been there, under 20 or right around 20 in 3 out of his last 4. And then on the Pacers side, like LeVert on FanDuel, still a good price tag, low 6s. I think Miles Turner is interesting, 6'7" on DK. He's like 6'3" or 6'4" on FanDuel. Like I can't pay 10.5 for Sabonis on the slate. I can't pay 8.4 for Brogdon. Those are their DK price tags. On FanDuel, I think Brogdon's a little more interesting in that 7K range. But yeah, out of the 4 games, this is the one that I'm least excited about. Stewart's probably my favorite on the Pistons side. And then on the Pacers, you got LeVert on FanDuel. Miles Turner, I think, is playable on both sides, and maybe a little Brogdon on FanDuel. But that's really about it for me in this one.
Yeah, it's definitely not the best game on the slate. The Pacers feel a lot like the Kings to me, AP, where there's just too many guys on the court together that need the ball in their hands. And when you put De'Aaron Fox out there, when you put Halliburton, when you got Barnes, you got all these guys on the court together. They just all need the ball in their hands, like Rashawn Holmes. It just seems like there's too many guys that need to be playing with that ball. And you have to play the guessing game of, okay, is it LeVert going to have the big game? If it's not LeVert, you know what happens? My lineup gets absolutely sunk. So there is a risk to it, but there is upside to winning GPP. So I think the way to approach the Pacers is maybe max of 1 Pacer on a team. You could get away with 2, but I don't think it's too necessary on this slate. I think it's a more in play on FanDuel, where on FanDuel, you just don't need as much value plays, and you kind of just fall into some of these guys, and LeVert's price is just way too cheap over there. So AP, how many Pacers what's the max in your MME builds tonight?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you brought that up. I was toying around with some rules on Saber, and I put in there no more than 1 player from the Pacers side. We just got too many good spots. I don't, I'm not saying fade these guys. I want some exposure if you're MMEing. And but what I don't want to happen is to have 2 of these guys in the build. So very easily able to create that rule right there in the stacking section, which is really nice. And then as far as who to target, I mean, Sabonis from a raw point standpoint is somewhat interesting, but the price is up there, and I know we're going to want Kevin Durant. So it is definitely interesting. I'm not going to have a ton of exposure to the Pacers. I made that rule, so if one of these guys lands in there, then fine. But it's a way to control the like how my builds look, and it's definitely something that's valuable to have if you're using the opto tonight. Pistons side, man. Hoop nailed it right on the head. I mean, this rotation is crazy. Like I'm showing Frank Jackson, Saben Lee are guys that are going to get some good run, mostly due to recency bias. I mean, if you look at last game, Frank Jackson came off the bench, helped them to come back against Brooklyn. I mean, the guy couldn't miss a shot, was hitting threes. He could come out tonight and be ice cold. I mean, that's a risk here. So I would put some sort of constraint on some of these guys like Frank Jackson and Saben Lee if you're multi-entering tonight. The only guy I feel comfortable with is Cade Cunningham. That price tag is just way up there. But again, we've seen on these slates, raw points can be important as far as factoring into that main or that optimal build at the end of the night. So I wouldn't ever exclude a guy like Cade Cunningham. He could get you 44, and that could be enough from a raw point standpoint to get it done, mixed and matched with all of the correct value plays. The other guy that I did remove from my player pool is Killian Hayes. This guy is just, man, he sucks. I would much rather have a Saben Lee or Frank Jackson off the bench than playing Killian Hayes starting in this offense. They phased him out of the rotation in the fourth quarter in the last game, and it just seems like the risk is going to be there to do that tonight. Isaiah Stewart, they're going to need size in there. He's going to get the minutes. But again, this is Cade's team. He's going to get all the usage and all the opportunity tonight. So I'd be very careful with getting too much Isaiah Stewart in your lineup.
What about so you talked about Cade Cunningham. Would you make it where would you make sure Cade Cunningham was ran back with a pacer? Because if Cade Cunningham has a big enough game, I know you talked about the raw points, but if he has a big enough game, don't you think you might need a pacer ran back? Or do you think it's just, I don't need to play that guessing game with them. I can just play him by himself. Or if the builder puts in a pacer, that's fine. Would you prioritize it, AP?
Yeah, I mean, with NBA, it's you make a good point, like the guessing game on the Pacers side. So you kind of answered that question yourself, man. Going, it's a guessing game. So I wouldn't necessarily want to have that make sure one pacer is in all of my Cade Cunningham lineups. Just because I think there's plenty of value and there's plenty of ways to stack up these other games on the slate tonight.
Yeah, for sure. I think if it was a little bit of a dustier slate, I would do it, but I don't think it's like a battle, right? We have a bunch of different value plays that you can get to on these slates. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. Hoop, any final thoughts here on the Pistons, or do we move on to that next game?
Yeah, I mean, like I said in the opening, this is to me the least appealing game from a fantasy perspective. So yeah, I don't really have much more. I think good to move on to the next.
All right, I haven't hit the like button, so I'm about to hit that like button. We got now 133 likes. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't to get all of our content over here at Run Pure Sports. You can check out everything, NFL. We got tons of shows. We got NBA shows almost every day. So, subscribe to the channel to get notified when we go live. 334 watching, 135 likes. Let's get those up. But let's move on over and talk about the Philadelphia 76ers and the Brooklyn Nets. And Hoop, we'll go over to you. Man, I didn't expect David Duke to be, basically James Harden, but I expected him to do well, but not as well as he did. 40 fantasy points. He's now only 4.2K. It does feel like a guy people are just going to say, well, if he gets 40 and he's only 4.2K, I got to plug him in again. So is he someone that you're loading up into your lineups, or are you looking to still, get in some of these other value plays? Like, is Nick Claxton a better play? Is Blake Griffin at 5K a better play? And I'm assuming you'll be all over Kevin Durant as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just kind of play Kevin Durant tonight. I mean, he's in a league of his own with so many guys out. I mean, he had the monster game last time out. I fully expect him to just have another monster game here tonight. I think you just play him, even lock him in. I think it's the right move tonight. Now, in terms of the secondary pieces on the 70s or on the Nets, I got to say, FanDuel did a hell of a job. I mean, they just went ahead and just bumped all the guys up to 6K. If you want to play any other Nets guys, you're paying at least 6K for them. If you want to do it, go for it. But FanDuel or DraftKings left a couple of guys like underpriced. Like David Duke is still 4.2K, and he flashed big time upside in 37 minutes, got you 40 fantasy points. Is he likely to get 40 tonight? No, but if he gets you 30, you're still happy as hell. Nick Claxton at 3.9K. A guy who played 26 minutes last game, got you 27 fantasy points tonight. Kind of expect the same, upper 20s for minutes, and it'll probably be somewhere between 25 and 30 fantasy points. So those two, Duke, Claxton, very good value plays. The interesting one tonight for me, especially in tournaments, is Cam Thomas. He was the one guy that just laid a complete stinker, never really got it going, and they kind of just went with the hot hands of David Duke and Kessler Edwards last time out. So Cam Thomas really didn't get a ton of minutes. I want to run it back with Cam Thomas in tournaments tonight. David Duke's performance could easily flip to Cam Thomas tonight. So I want a lot of Cam Thomas. And then this Kessler Edwards guy, 4K, played 44 minutes in that game. It was overtime, so we're probably looking at like upper 30s. No reason why he doesn't see a lot of run tonight as well. So those are the guys that have the good price tags now. Patty Mills at 6'6" on DK. Tough to pull the trigger on Mills at 6'6". They got Blake up to 5K. Tough to do that. So I'm kind of more so looking at the cheaper nuts as the secondary pieces. I don't really want to pay almost 7K for Patty Mills, but in terms of Durant, I think he's a lock on the slate. You just play him. So likely to get like at least 60 fantasy points in this spot. Now on the 76ers side, it gets a little tougher, especially on DK. Like I'm not paying 8-7 for Tobias Harris. Going to be very tough to pay 11-4 for Embiid if we're locking in Durant. On FanDuel, though, like Tobias Harris is 7.1K. I think there's definitely some appeal to that. I mean, not the same guy that we've seen in the past, but had a pretty decent game last time out. 37 minutes against Miami, got us 36 fantasy points. We'll take that at 7.1K on FanDuel, not the 8-7 on DK. So these guys are much more difficult on DK opposed to FanDuel. Tobias Harris would be my favorite just on FanDuel, but the Nets, you're going to need some exposure to those guys. It starts with Kevin Durant, and you're going to want to probably mix and match at least 2 or 3 other ones in your lineups.
What about Embiid, Hoop? Because Embiid is definitely a good spend up today. Like he has a ceiling to get there. And the Nets are a matchup that you can definitely target. So what do you think of Embiid in tournaments? Because I do think he goes lower owned for sure.
If you're able to get him with Durant, like I don't want to play Embiid without Durant. So if you have a path where, maybe we get a ton more value, maybe, Christian Wood sits and then we have these Rockets guys we can play. But if I'm playing Embiid, I want it to be in the same lineup with Durant. They're up there. I mean, 11-4 for Embiid, 12-3 for Durant. You're going to be playing a lot of dusty, cheap dudes in those lineups. So as long as you can make it good and comfortable with other pieces, I'm fine with it. But if I play Embiid, I definitely want Durant in there.
All right, AP, I'll shift over to you. This is definitely a good game to look at. And on these 4-game slates, I do think it's a good spot to kind of load up on one game. Like you don't have to just go and be okay, I'm gonna get exposure to every game. I'm gonna get exposure to this guy and that guy. I don't think that's always the correct way to approach these slates. I also don't think you have to force it, but I do think loading up on one game is not a bad idea as long as you're not going out of your way. I think this is one of those games to look at, to load up on, because you have a lot of really good value plays now that you already are organically going to. And then looking for some Sixers run backs, I don't think it's the worst idea. It's just the problem is some of these prices are up. So how are you handling this game here, AP?
Yeah, I mean, another really elite spot. I'm going to agree quite a bit with what Hoop said. So let me just talk a little bit about matchup wise. Kevin Durant, when we look at Philly, Thibault did a great job on Curry. He shut Curry down. Curry couldn't do anything. Well, Curry's much smaller. I don't Durant is a matchup problem for this Philly team. Tobias Harris is arguably the guy that matches up with him best. But if you go back and just look at that first game earlier this year, Durant, I know he crushed him. Let me just look it up real quick. He put up a 73 piece against them with Harden on the court. It's just a matchup problem. I want as much Durant as I can get tonight. I think from a raw points and ceiling perspective, he's going to get there. And the price is up. And so I ran a bunch of different test builds in the Opto, and at different levels from a projection standpoint, you got to bump them quite a bit to get up to really high ownership. I'm talking into the 70s for him to even approach 90% ownership in 150 builds. So you either got to bump them up projection wise or lock them into your builds tonight. And that's going to be the route that I go. As far as the other pieces on the Nets side, I'm very high on Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas was a guy I was very high on last game. I'm showing much lower ownership. Look, they went with the hot hand, and he did not have the hot hand, but he's been a guy that's been in the rotation more so than these other guys like Kessler, Edwards, David Duke, etc. They have Cam Thomas coming off the bench for a reason. They need a guy when Durant is resting on the bench, which he's not going to be on there long. They need a guy to create offense, and he's the guy that they trust. So I think Cam Thomas is a guy I'm going to be very overweight on at 4.7. Ownership's going to be down. I think he has 30-point upside in a matchup like this one, especially he'll get, some Shake Milton off the bench when those two guys are out on the court running the second units. And Shake, Tyrese Maxey, not good defenders. So I'm going to like the matchup there. And if they take the high-end approach, Cam Thomas could be the guy to finish with them. So again, I'm going to have exposure to all these guys. Even Day'Ron Sharp, I think they're going to need a big in there. Claxton, they're going to need one of these guys on there. So am I going heavy on him? No, I'm not going heavy on him, but I'm going to have him in my player pool. I'm going to make sure I have him as an option. Just because can Blake really play and hang for another 30 minutes? I think Nash is going to rotate whoever he can in, whoever's playing the best, and to make it work. So definitely want heavy exposure to this game. A rule, Gun, since you brought it up that first time, I'm looking at at least three nets in every single one of my builds. And one of those guys is going to be KD. So I'm going to mix and match a lot of these guys with them. And then, the other thing I did too is I wanted to see what Embiid KD lineups look like. You're forcing in almost all value plays. If you want, assuming you want someone like Sengun or like a Derrick Rose from the Knicks side, it forced in a lot of Matisse Thybulle, who I even put his projection in at 15 and was still forcing him in to make those builds work. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with Embiid yet, but obviously the matchup is really good and he could absolutely crush here.
Yeah, the forcing the Thybulle thing would be a little frustrating for me. The one thing I'd say is if you do fade Durant, I am not fading Durant. I'm just going to tell you now, but if you decided to, the approach I would take is I would put David Duke probably at that small forward position because he has that eligibility, and I would just go super cheap, and then I would spend up at either a guard or maybe a power forward. I think that would be the smart way to do it to get the more unique build. I know you can put David Duke in the guard spot, but I think putting him in that small forward spot as a replacement for Durant and then putting in a power forward that can go up to is a good way to kind of do that. Hoop, I want to ask you one more thing. Patty Mills at that price tag. Someone asked it in the chat. Would you overspend for him? Because 6'6" does feel like a lot, but in the last game, he didn't play bad, right? He had 42 fantasy points, and at 6'6", you'd be okay with 42 fantasy points. It definitely is a perfect. I think it's a perfect spot for him too, where even if you didn't play Durant, playing Patty Mills at that overpriced tag might be the move because the way Patty Mills gets there is shooting. And that means maybe he has just an absolute monster night shooting the rock, and Kevin Durant maybe takes more of a back seat. Do you think that's an interesting approach? And would you overspend for Patty Mills?
I personally am not going to play Patty Mills at 6.6K. I get it. He does probably have 40 fantasy point upside. There's no doubt about that. He can definitely get hot and get there again. But he's got to make a lot of threes. The shot has to be falling. It doesn't really contribute a ton across the board. So I'm most likely not going to pay the 6.6 price tag.
All right, fair enough. We don't got too much else to say, I think, about this game. It's probably the best game on the slate, but there's other good spots too that we can't totally ignore. And that's another one coming up here. We got the Knicks and the Rockets, 215 total, and the Knicks, they are 5-point dogs here. AP, I'll shift on over to you to break this one down. Is it Sengun season again? I don't know. Did you see that pass he made? That incredible pass below the rim? That was unbelievable. He's so good. He's like mini Jokic. So I love watching.
He doesn't play defense, but he is super good offensively. He was God, what was the play? He was jumping on someone's back. TJ, he kept getting pump faked early on. The guy is offensively is really fun to watch, but defensively he has a long ways to go. And much like this Houston team, but hopefully they give him plenty of run tonight. He put up 47 DK points and 27 against a tough Cleveland team that's huge, big in size, even though he did most of his damage when the scrubs were in. But still, it's not like this Knicks team has been great defensively. So, yeah, on the Knicks, Obi Toppin is out, RJ Barrett's out, Kevin Knox. and Quentin Grimes all out. So the Knicks are going to run a really tight rotation. They're not playing Kemba at all. And Thibs said, he's not going to play unless he starts, and he's not starting. So we're going to get a tight rotation. The guys I trust, Derrick Rose, Julius Randle, Emmanuel Quickley, and Alec Burks. Those 4 guys are Thibs guys. They're the ones I trust. He's starting to show that he likes this Miles McBride kid off the bench. He's another guy I'm including. Everyone else, Evan Fournier, Dusty, Noel, and Mitch Robinson. I don't think he really trusts them. He trusts his guys, and that's what I'm doing in fantasy. So Julius Randle, in my opinion, this is like, he got it going last game. I actually did a kind of deep dive in my own personal notes on this Knicks team and what they need to do to just get things moving in the right direction. A lot of it comes down to Julius Randle. He's having like one of the worst years he's had in quite some time. But there's been games where he's looked good. Last game, he looked good. I thought he looked a little bit better, 31 points. But still the assists, the rebounds weren't there. Against this Houston team is the perfect get right spot for the Knicks. They're the other team that I want multiple pieces from tonight. Heavy exposure. I want Julius Randle. I want Rose. I want Quickly. Actually, shout out to Captain. Captain said that I was thinking the same thing. Quickly is in the same spot as what's his name? The Cavs backup point guard. Mango, I'm talking about last night. Rubio. Yeah, Rubio. He's the Rubio type play tonight. And I see it, but I also think Quickly will close. And I think, the possibility for potentially 28 to 30 minutes is highly likely, unless Miles McBride slides in there and steals some of his run. But I think this is a good spot for Quickly to get going. I'm going to be lower on Evan Fournier, even though this is like a matchup where he should get going. I just would rather have more exposure to Rose, Burks, Randle, and Quickly, and then a little bit of Miles McBride. I'm fading Noel. I'm fading Robinson. I just don't trust those guys. And then Fournier, I'm fading. I don't trust him either.
So I don't mind Julius Randle here. This is his problem, AP. When you play next to Derrick Rose and Alec Burks, and you played next to Elf Payton and Reggie Bullock last year, there's only one basketball to play with, right? And Derrick Rose and Alec Burks, they do not like sharing the basketball. They love to shoot it. So that's just one of the issues I think he's ran into a lot this year, just not being able to be the alpha as much, because when you play with Rose and Burks more, it just hurts him. He is pricey at that 10K price tag. Hoop, I'll go to you. Do you think paying for Julius Randle here? And I think the spot is great because you get to go up against the Houston Rockets. Houston Rockets, they're down to play a little bit bigger. They're definitely a team that can struggle inside. So I do think it's not a bad spot for Randle, but I don't know if I want to pay the 10K price tag. It does seem like a slate where you can just go Kevin Durant and go a bunch of mid-tier guys, or you can go KD and go like one more stud. Is Randle going to be a guy you plug in to your lineups?
So on FanDuel is 8.7K, and I think that price tag is very appealing. I think I definitely want a lot of Julius Randle at 8.7. At 10K, it becomes a little more of a conversation, I guess, but without a lot of studs to pay out for on the slate. So we obviously have Durant. We have Embiid, who we talked about, who's way up there. Julius Randle is at 10K, so it's a little bit of a discount from a guy like Embiid. $1,400 goes a long way on the slate. I like Randle at the 10K. It's a really good spot for him here against the Rockets. I mean, should definitely have his way against their front court. So yeah, I want to be over the field on Julius Randle. Derrick Rose, really good play. Now that he's starting back-to-back 35 minutes, he's going to most likely get you over 30 fantasy points. Burks, FanDuel 5.6K, really good price tag. 7-1 on DK, a little more of a decision over there, but I mean, it's a really good spot for this Knicks team. So I think you definitely want some exposure. Quickly, I agree. I think he's a really strong play tonight. Evan Fournier, man, what a disaster! But he's 4.3K on FanDuel. If I have 4.3K and I get everything else I want, I'd be willing to risk Fournier. But man, it has not been a good season for him. And then on the Rocket side, a lot depends on Christian Wood. are we kind of assuming he's out? I mean, AP, you kind of think that he's going to be out, right? Like, I thought that was the assumption. I was kind of surprised to see him questionable.
Yeah, I was assuming he's going to be out.
Yeah.
Which we go back to Sin Gun, right? I mean,
yeah,
I look decent.
Yeah. So I would definitely like Sengun. Jayshawn Tate, I think, is a really good play. Tice as a full punt. I mean, the upside for Tice is super limited, but 20 minutes, I think, he can get you 20 fantasy points at 3K flat. This Josh Christopher guy, 3.5K. Even Eric Gordon kind of been playing pretty good lately. 30 minutes you can kind of count on here. If he knocks down some shots, he's capable of having a big night. So I don't mind him, Brooks. So this is probably my favorite game on the slate. I want to get it over the field on basically all these guys. I think this can be a good one. Only 5-point spread, not much concern for the blowout. So yeah, very appealing game for DFS tonight.
Yeah, and the thing about Eric Gordon here you mentioned, it might feel like a chase a little bit, right? But if you think about the defense that's going to be played, well, when Eric Gordon was going up against Trae Young and some of those other guys, like defensively, Kevin Huerter, I mean, I'm not scared of those guys. You can definitely attack them pretty decently. And you can attack Alec Burks and Derrick Rose defensively very easily. So I do think Eric Gordon is a good call from you there, who I want to see what that Rockets starting lineup is. That is going to be very important. And we're not going to get that like right away. That it could lock and then like you don't have the lineup and then things can change. So that is going to be some news to look for, especially with the Christian Wood stuff. So Rockets are willing to change their lineup up all the time. I wouldn't be shocked if Wood sat and then Sengun randomly just slid into the lineup there. So I think that's worth mentioning. And I like Jayshawn Tate a lot too. Jayshawn Tate, he got off to a nice little start last game. He is 6'5", 6'3" on FanDuel and feels pricey, but we've seen him hit massive ceilings. I mean, he's had 70 fantasy points. Of course, there are other guys in there that can kind of steal the ball, but if he gets moving, he's definitely able to have a pretty big game. So don't mind him there. Don't got too much else to say here. We can shift on over to this Wizards and Suns game, but Hoop, let's do a couple things. The people, they may have slid in a little bit late and they're wondering if the Saber deal is still going on, or they think it's not going on because you said that you're going to have a hard, fast rule on that. So talk about it, because we got all the sports this weekend. We got college football, we got MMA, we got everything. And let's figure out a number on the likes. I mean, we got 413 watching. We got 169 likes. So what's the number we got to get to give out those plays of the day?
For the likes, I think we'll get more people trickling in. Kind of got to set the bar high, I think. So we're going to go 250. If we don't get to 250 likes, we'll just go to Discord with the plays of the day. And then in terms of the deal with SaberSim, I had initially said Thursday morning that it was going to be done. Talked to the guys at SaberSim. They said, let's just run it up until NFL lock. So you got about 3 hours here. NFL locks at 8:20 Eastern. As soon as that game locks and starts, the deal is over. The deal that we have going basically is you get 15% off Run Pure Sports and SaberSim. So you do a combined package at Run Pure Sports. Use the code SABER15 at Run Pure Sports. You get all our DFS content for the one price. And then you also get the SaberSim Optimizer, which is right on our website. 15% off an all-in price of about $127. It's a ridiculous value for not only serious fantasy players, but novice fantasy players, people just getting into it. The SaberSim Optimizer makes it really easy to build 150 optimal type teams. You don't have to worry about putting rules in. You don't have to worry about, matching and groups and all that stuff. The SaberSim Optimizer does that all for you. So use that promo code SABER15. Only about 3 hours left to use it.
All right. Hoop, you said the likes are 250, and I'm gonna put the glasses on because we gotta be hard here, right? You've been soft. SaberSim's been soft. If we don't get the likes at 250, you know what's happening. Hoop, we're cutting this thing. I'm being strictly business here. But we got a nice little game to go to break this thing down. We got the Wizards. We have the Suns. 213 total. And AP, I'm gonna go to you first to break this thing down. Chris Paul. Man, it's a big price tag, right? 9.7K. Didn't expect that. FanDuel only 8.6. Definitely a spot that I think you can go to. And we got no Spencer Dinwiddie. So pretty good spot for Bradley Beal, but he does have to deal with Chris Paul possibly on the other side. So this is a game that I think you can definitely get exposure to, but it's not one I'm just like loading up on. Am I wrong for that? Maybe I should. What do you think about this game? How are you handling it in your MME builds?
Yeah, I mean, first off, look, this Wizards team, they're 1-7, their last 7, or 1-6, their last 7 games, and they're coming off an epic collapse. They were up 12 points with a minute left in the third yesterday, and they end up losing by 14 to the friggin' Kings. Like, it was just an absolute meltdown, just disaster. one of the worst performances in the fourth quarter that I've seen in quite some time. And they're without Spencer Dinwiddie tonight, and they're going to go up against the Suns. I just think I'm really worried about how do you rebound as a team? You're on a losing stretch. You're coming off a game that you should have closed, like you're winning the entire game, and then you just melt down. And now you come in and you're playing the Suns, one of the best teams in the league right now. With one of the best second units in the league right now, with Cam Payne and Cam Johnson playing just incredible basketball. JaVale McGee has been a beast off the bench there. Even when he started, he's been an absolute beast. So this just has all the makings of a beatdown here. I think if you want to play a script where the Wizards hang tight, you play Bradley Beal. He's going to have a big game. He's going to have to put the Wizards on his back to keep this one close. And his price is somewhat down. Actually, it's up. He's been in the 8K range, but it's a 4-game slate. So 9K for Bradley Beal with no Dinwiddie is, there's worse plays out there. I feel like Kuzma's kind of a trap. 6.1K for him against a good defensive team. I'm really tempted here just to take the Big T approach. So he doesn't play guys against the Suns, and for good reason. When I ran a few builds, it kept wanting to put these Wizards in my builds. So I think I'm going to either one, decrease projections, or two, create some rules around limiting the number of guys that I can have from the Wizards side into my builds. Or the other way to play it is maybe looking at some of these like Raul Neto, maybe some of these guys that would get more run because Dinwiddie is out, and who would benefit from blowout run, because I do think blowout is a risk here to factor in. And then on the Sun side too, that really takes me off of Chris Paul. I want Chris Paul in a competitive back and forth game environment, much like we saw last time out against the Blazers. They're going back and forth. That's when we want to play Chris Paul. I think I would rather play Cam Payne, Cam Johnson, those types off the bench here, who are going to benefit from getting additional run if their second unit's playing well, and they could end up closing the game too if they don't need Chris Paul here. So that's really how I'm going to play this spot.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's a good call there. I think Cam Payne is the guy I would rather go than Chris Paul currently at that price. I think the Raul Neto call, I like that too. If you are going to go a Wizard, right? I wouldn't mind just going super cheap there. I think he'd definitely be an interesting play. Hoop, I'll go over to you. Definitely not a super appealing game, but there are some spots you can take advantage of. I think you can take advantage of some of these Suns. They're definitely in play, but I don't want to be going up to Chris Paul. I think on FanDuel, I'm okay with it at 8-6, but it's not a priority for me. What are you doing here with this Suns and Wizards game here, Hoop?
On DK, just very tough price tags for the Suns guys, like 9-7 for Chris Paul. Like, I can't do that. I know he's coming off the monster game, but I can't pay that. 8-8. Like, no, I'm definitely not doing that. Bridges at 5.8. Like, I'm just not interested in paying those price tags. I mean, all those guys more appealing on FanDuel. Like, Bridges is 4.8 on FanDuel. I'd be okay with that. And like you said, Chris Paul 8.6 on FanDuel. Fine with that, but not really any building block type plays. And then on the Wizards side, it's a tough spot for the Wizards. A team kind of a team that's definitely going in the wrong direction. I think you guys said 1-7 in their last 8, and then you got a team on the other side that's heading in the right direction. The Suns have been on fire lately, so don't want to play too many Wizards. Contavious Caldwell-Pope, 4K on DK. I'm okay playing a guy like him. Aaron Holiday at 3.5. Yeah, maybe let's say Christian Wood's in and we lose a lot of the cheap value that we were going to play. Maybe Harrell at 5.3. Man, it's just tough to really play him when Gafford's in. I'm just not super excited about this game. Beal at 9K. I'm going to be really underweight on a lot of these guys just because of one, price tag, and two, matchup. So I just don't really like this game all that much. Going to be very underweight on it.
All right, guys, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Again, helps out a ton. We need like 39 to go to get there. Got a couple of things to mention. Then we're going to get on out of here if we don't get them up.
Hey, man, Gone. Did you see the news? Most important news of the slate just dropped.
Is it Dwayne Casey?
Dwayne Casey not coaching tonight. Let's go.
Oh, that's huge.
I mean, is that huge? Like,
I don't know.
I will say
Seem
it could
relevant.
be huge because you could see Cade Cunningham maybe play like 40 minutes. I mean, geez, like maybe they're actually gonna load the boat on him and make him the guy tonight. Maybe they're just gonna be like, okay, Cade, like lead us to victory, actually get all the usage. But I don't know. Do we know who is coaching? I mean, if you told me, I know it's not Tom Thibodeau, but if you told me it was Tom Thibodeau, I'd be like, okay, I'm in. I get a guy who's just going to load guys up with minutes. So I don't know. Hoop, you're the Pistons guy. Do you know who the assistant coach is? And do you know, does this change anything for you?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say it really doesn't have all that much of an effect on the DFS slate. It was funny though. I mean, he's Casey.
The assistant, by the way, Hoop, is Rex Calamanian. I don't even know anything about
Yeah. Good for him. Good luck. Good spot for him to make a big move here with this Pistons roster.
This Urban Meyer stuff, just, I mean, it's like the gift that keeps on giving to him. It's just, his daughter went on Instagram and went on a full rant. I'm just reading about it right now. Just hilarious stuff. She
went on a rant? Oh, geez, that's not a good idea.
About how good of it. And then, well, no, the comments are the best. You know, she defending her dad, which, hey, you know, I hope my kids would defend me too if I was an idiot like that. But then the replies are the best, just because it's, go on, just search Twitter. It's good stuff. Good entertainment.
I'll have to check it out. And then we got, I mean, this isn't for today, but more health and safety protocol stuff. Jabari Parker now. So you'll have tons of stuff popping up. And hey, you might get something here out of nowhere, right? You might get like some of these Pistons, maybe randomly a test comes up and then someone can't play like 30 minutes before. Maybe there's a surprise starter that like you just didn't expect that could be coming up here. So that's super important. It's important to get in that Discord chat. Again, last chance to get in, Saber15. Use that code. You got, I mean, what is it? 3 hours up until that NFL kickoff where you know, we don't have a final countdown show coming up next to. There's no JSU breaking that down with Holden or anyone, but you got a showdown.
Oh, no, I'm firing up a stream. I think I got Glock coming on. So yeah, we'll get a stream going for the people.
Love that. Love it.
Is this okay? Is this confirmed? I don't want to promise this for the people and then boom. Is this confirmed?
I mean, I just said I was going to fire one up. I mean,
well, you said you have Glock. You know you have Glock. I just want to make sure it's on there by himself. That's all. Then I don't know if that's going to. Can you talk for an hour, AP? That's a long show to do. It's tough.
No, I'm not going to get on there and talk by myself for an hour. No, I'd need someone on there. And I'd send a message in our chat, and Glock wants to get on. So, yeah, we'll hop on. I promised members a show on Saturday, but I just felt like absolute shit, so I couldn't get it done. So we'll hop on. We'll talk about Saber, the optimizer, and, you know, up to slate or up to lock questions and stuff.
All right, well, that's good for that. And we're at 232 likes, and that's not enough. And you know what? If for some reason you guys hit 250, as I'm saying this right now, I'm delayed. I'm a minute behind, and that's on you guys. Last time you guys were like, oh, we hit 250, you're getting out of here. No, we're getting out of here because Hoop is soft, SaberSim is soft, and you know what? We love them, but we got to just kind of cut the plays of the day, Hoop.
You got to tune in to AP and Glock for the plays of the day. I mean, that's really all there is to it. If you want the plays of the day, you're going to have to hit up that screen.
Agreed.
It's all right. Sometimes it's tough to give out a play of the day this early. Like my play of the day was Metu yesterday, who ended up not starting, but he ended up getting it done. But he only played 17 minutes, which was really tilting. But I ended up playing him just since I felt obligated to play him since I mentioned him as the play of the day, and ended up panning out for me.
All right. Well, we'll leave the plays of the day to AP and Glock to give out there. We can give them the Discord chat. Hoop, you know, we'll obviously wait for some news breakdown. We'll update the cash chart, and we'll give you guys those plays of the day. But we got to get on out of here. Thanks a lot for joining us. Check out AP and Glock coming up next on the premium show. But for me, Mangone, AP, and Hoop, we will see you guys later.